Today I'm going to show you how to prep your old vinyl floor for new vinyl flooring by using Underlayment. So I have some old vinyl here in the kitchen, and it's got some holes. It's pretty worn out. It's curling up on the corners. It's in rough shape. It's in need of replacement. So instead of ripping all this old vinyl out, which can become an all-day job itself, because normally the vinyl does not rip out in one solid piece, it rips out in about 1,000 pieces. I'm going to use an underlayment to simply cover the old flooring and cover any blemishes, and to make a nice smooth surface for the new vinyl flooring. Underlayment comes in a lot of different thicknesses, but for this particular job I want it to be thin as possible, so I'm going to be using a 1/4 inch underlayment. So I have a little bit of prep work to do before I lay the underlayment. In the corners here the vinyl is rolled up and it's sticking up pretty bad, so I'm simply just going to cut that out with a razor blade. And any spots that are sticking up like that, just go ahead and cut it out of there. Don't worry about getting too carried away with the old vinyl, because the underlayment will cover most of the blemishes, no problem. Here's a look at the underlayment I'm going to be using. It's 1/4 inch and it comes in 4x8 sheets. It's fairly lightweight and easy to handle. Because of this being a wide open room, I can simply just lay the plywood on the floor here, butt it up against the cabinets, and cut off the excess. One nice thing about using a 1/4 inch underlayment is that you can usually cut it with a utility knife by simply just scoring it. So I'm going to use my level to make a straight line, then my utility knife to score it. I'm going to score it about 3 or 4 times, nice and deep. Then I'm going to put the level underneath the plywood and break off my cut. So it's very simple to cut. And keep in mind, if it's any thicker than 1/4 inch, you're probably going to have to use a circular saw. And for any of your cuts that don't go all the way across, you can use a hand saw or a multi-saw, which I'll be using here. So I'm going to be notching out the corner of the plywood here, so it fits around this wall corner just right. And it might be a good idea to put a piece of cardboard underneath your cuts to keep from damaging any of the existing floor. Alright, now we have it cut. It's time to check the fitment. You want to make sure there's no big gaps anywhere. Here's a look at it. It all has a nice tight fit to it. We'll be installing another piece behind it there. So we're going to be using an 1.25 inch screw. This is a T20 torque head screw. And you want to make sure to mount these screws flush with the surface. You don't want to countersink them, otherwise you're going to have to fill that void with some sort of filler. And you don't want them protruding either, because you're going to feel that when you're walking on the floor. So I'm going to put them every foot in both directions on the plywood. If you don't use enough screws when you're installing your underlayment, your floor might buckle and feel loose when walking on it. Now it's time to install the second piece of underlayment, and you want to try whenever possible to butt up a factory edge with another factory edge. That way you have the straightest seam possible. So I'm going to get this position in place, get the seam nice and tight, then go ahead and cut off the excess and screw it in place. And another tip is to make sure that you don't get your screws too close to the edge or you'll splinter the wood. Try to stay about 3/4 inch from the edge. So all in all, it took me about 1.5 hours to install this underlayment, which saved me a lot of time. If I was to sit there and try to scrape off all the old vinyl, I would have probably been there for about 8 hours. Alright, here's a look at it. We're all done. Now we just need to clean it up and start installing our new vinyl. Well, thanks for watching. If you want to hear more from me, please subscribe.